Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. I know it's been a bit, been gone for a few weeks. I had intended it to just be 1 week, but then it turned into two. But I'm back now here for March 18th, 2024. Hasn't been a lot I wanted to cover. The first week was just kind of a mental health thing after all the terrible stuff that went down when it came to the next Benedict and all that stuff. And so I needed some time. And then, well, as happens, Christmas came in March, and a video game that I always like to, my friends and I like to pick up every year and play came out. So I spent last week playing that. Anyhow, let's get to the news of the day. There's a few pieces of news. I didn't want to cover any of it, but I figured I should. Um, since I've been gone a bit, I should go ahead and cover some of these things, even though they're not the most exciting topics in the world. First off, Donald Trump. Donald Trump can't pay his $484 million bond from his New York civil fraud trial. You know, the one where he was found guilty of defrauding the state, and he ended up being banned from having a business run in New York State for 3 years. Yeah, that one. Well, apparently, Mr. Billionaire, according to his lawyers, cannot afford $484 million. Go figure that, right? The guy who has claimed to be a billionaire all these years, and everyone's been saying for years he doesn't have that kind of money, no matter how he tries to slice the pie. He doesn't have that kind of money. He's not a billionaire. Hasn't been a billionaire in probably at least a decade, if not longer than that. But according to his attorneys, he can't afford to pay it. So I guess we will see what happens going forward. We knew he would fight these kind of things. He's sitting there talking about how he can't even afford recently he's talking about saying he can't really afford the E. Jean Carroll $83 million case, right? Yet he's a billionaire. Remember that. As well, for Donald Trump, somebody started a GoFundMe campaign to help pay his $400+ million he owes to the state of New York. It raised $1.3 million and is stagnant. Now, that's a lot of people donating money to an absolute loser. A man who tried to destroy our country, tried to overthrow our government, not because he had any actual gripes with our government, no, but because he lost. He lost an election fair and square to the people of the United States. To the people that donated that $1.3 million, I'm glad you wasted your money. You didn't deserve that money, obviously. In other news, the war in Gaza still rages on. Netanyahu is bound and determined to murder every single Palestinian. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Because no matter what happens, no matter what offers come Israel's way, Israel and Netanyahu choose to kill more innocent civilians. Over the weekend, there was a protest in Israel by Israelis demanding, an end to the, a ceasefire, an end to the war, and that Netanyahu step down. Last week, Chuck Schumer said that he called for immediate elections in Israel. Of course, he's the majority leader in the Senate. Said Netanyahu is not the right man to be leading Israel right now, and that he needs to step down and allow for immediate elections. Joe Biden has recently come out and criticized Netanyahu's handling of Gaza. The fact that that Netanyahu's not allowing for humanitarian aid to get through as well as it should be, that he's targeting civilians and things like that. But Netanyahu says that we don't care. Almost 13,000 children now dead in Gaza, over 30,000 adults, and just most of them innocent civilians. Very few people that they have killed actually had anything to do with Hamas. In fact, there was something I noticed different after the Hamas attack on October 7th. In previous years, there'd be an attack on Israel, and I'd see people like Palestinians celebrating in the streets. I didn't see that this time. That's not what I saw in the videos I was getting from people that have access to the internet there, right? I was seeing outrage and anger for what Hamas had done to those innocent people in Israel. And I'm sure it's kind of a double-edged sword there, right? They were concerned or upset from the death and destruction that had taken place and the death of children that had taken place in Israel. But at the same time, they knew what it would bring. They knew that what Hamas had done would bring this upon them. They knew it. I think it's time for peace. You know, but nobody wants to give peace a chance in Israel. Doesn't seem like. At least the government there doesn't. The people want it. People of Gaza and in the West Bank want it. But Israel won't stop. And that's really all there is on that, right? On another war front, Ukraine. Joe Biden has guaranteed apparently roughly $300 million worth of weapon, ammunition and weapons to be sent, even though, wasn't that long ago they were arguing that they didn't have any more money to give. Now, it's being taken from an emergency fund that the military has to be sent over. Um, some of it's not even stuff we're having to necessarily pay for. It's just stuff we have and we're sending to them. Um, although I do see both wars to be entirely different, but in the end, they're the same. You both have somebody trying to decimate a population. Vladimir Putin on one end, Netanyahu on the other. Two in the same. The people in Ukraine need our help. We can't just let them be taken over by the Russian Federation and the fascist dictator that is Vladimir Putin. We can't allow that to happen. There have been people like Donald Trump who suggested we should be friends with Russia. But as I learned a long time ago, Russia is not now, nor have they ever been, our friend. And they never will be. That will never change. As long as Vladimir Putin heads the country, as the recent election says he will continue to do so, even though it's just a rubber stamp. Even if he had lost, they would have said he won election. Now, why did Vladimir Putin win that election, though? Because he killed everybody else that was running against him. He either killed them or had them imprisoned. And that's what Donald Trump wants. That's what Donald Trump wants in this country. He wants to be a king, and when he dies, his son takes over. That's what he wants. He wants us all to bow down to him, like the people in North Korea have to do to Kim Jong-un. Because if they don't, they're shot. That's what he wants here. In other news, There's been a lot of turmoil down in Haiti. These groups of these different gangs basically took over the country. They took over the capital, and the president of Haiti stepped down. Now there's a huge humanitarian crisis there in Haiti. Food is running out. People can't get food. They can't get food supplies into the city, into the capital, and across Haiti there is just violence and lack of food and water. And at the end of the day, it's all the same, isn't it? You have some group of people who think they should run everything and that everyone else can just go away or die. And I'm sure there's deeper complexities to what's going on in Haiti. Haiti's had a lot of problems over the years with political corruption, things like that. But at what point do you stop trying to hurt other people to fill your needs and to make to make the ends that you want? The poor are suffering even more so in Haiti than they were a few weeks ago. Civil services aren't, were already hard to find, but they're basically non-existent now. There's all sorts of violence. There's all sorts of people that are, threatening, the rest of the people of the country. So that's what's going on in a lot of the world today. Lots of unrest, lots of terrible things happening. And then here at home, when we have so much to be worried with, right? We have an impending government shutdown coming up soon. Because we keep kicking it down the road instead of just, passing a budget like a normal country would freaking do. We have homeless people all over this country. A population that is rising and rising quickly. Not because people aren't working, not because people are on drugs or any of that BS. No. Because rent is too damn high. We have a crisis with veterans committing suicide. We have more people coming across the southern border every day than we want. Apparently. But we're going to be worried about an app. For our last story, we're going to talk about the TikTok ban. That is, some of y'all may not care. Some of y'all may not have a TikTok, and that's fine. But this is very important to me anyway. But they're trying to frame this as some kind of national security threat. Mind you, Facebook and Google have both been caught in the past selling our information to Russia. Facebook did it in the 2016 election, which is how Donald Trump was able to get so many people to vote for it. Because of manipulation, of the voting people. They're trying to say that's what China is doing with TikTok. A few things. Yes, TikTok has a parent company, ByteDance, in China. But the Chinese government owns less than 1% of ByteDance. We have companies in the U.S. where the government owns a stake in them. And they're not worried about them stealing your data. TikTok has moved operations for American data to the U.S. So it made it even harder for China to access that information. Meanwhile, things like Wish and Temu aren't affected right now, right? They're not being forced to sell or divest. And like Temu is literally in mainland China. If you've bought anything from them, they have your information. And they are controlled 100% by the Chinese government. Bet you didn't know that, right? Some people don't, anyway. But why then? Why are they going after TikTok? I'll tell you exactly why. Because people aren't listening to legacy media anymore, CBS, NBC. People aren't listening to that crap anymore. News on YouTube, as you'll see on the views of this video, not really a thing anymore. People don't listen to the news on YouTube anymore. Not unless you're one of the big groups of people. Luckily, people like David Pakman and the people over TYT are still here. And the Secular Report people, they're still there, right? Or that's majority. I think the Majority Report, I think is what they call them. But all in all, if you're not one of those big people, you're not getting your information out. But TikTok can reach millions of people in a very, very short period of time. You can literally put all your information in a 1 minute to 2 minute clip, put it out there, and if it catches on, it can literally start a fire from one side of the country to the other about an issue or an event that took place. As well, TikTok is what brought us all the terrible things that the Israeli Defense Force has done to the people in Gaza. From the use of white phosphorus to attacking civilians and killing children for no reason, to parading men around town in the nude just to embarrass them and humiliate them. It's the communication ability. It's the ability to get out fast and accurate information to what's actually happening on the ground somewhere. And our government doesn't like that. You notice it's the first bill in probably a decade where it's got almost unanimous bipartisan support. The bill passed the House with only 6 people saying no. So yeah, sure, it will affect people's freedom of speech. It'll affect people's businesses. It's going to put millions of people out on the street because a lot of people use TikTok for their income. That's what they started doing during the pandemic, right? Businesses started using it for advertisement, to put videos out. And I say a lot of people selling products that makes their ends meet. But they're not going to be able to if this goes through. Now here's the thing. The thing with TikTok is that this bill, if passed, if the Senate ever even takes it up, if the Senate ever takes it up and it gets passed and Joe Biden signs it, a few things will take place. One, TikTok will be forced to either sell or divest from their parent company, or they must sell to a U.S. or sell their company to a U.S. firm. Now, my thing is, why not just let them, have our data secured by a U.S. firm and not make a company from Singapore or whatever, have to sell their product, sell off their product just so they can exist here. They'll just go away. And TikTok will exist in every other country in the world that allows the internet, except in America. right? Millions of businesses, number two, will, like I said, they'll start losing money. People that rely on TikTok as their sole source of income will lose that overnight. Yeah, you can say, oh, well, they can be on other platforms and get paid. They can. But I can tell you right now, I can put a video out here and I'll get 12 views. But this video right here will probably get 12 views, maybe 15. I can put the same video over on TikTok, broken up, and at least the first video will get 500 or 600 views. Now I don't get paid over there. I'm not part of their program because I don't have enough subscribers. So, but I've seen it happen where I have more views on videos over there than I do here. You get more eyes, not just on your videos, and you can get paid through TikTok for sometimes. But other products you sell, people see more of it. They don't see that on YouTube. I go through the YouTube shorts all the time, and I don't see anything of people being able to sell anything, right? YouTube shorts doesn't work the same. It doesn't push you towards content you enjoy. I go through it all the time, and it's just a bunch of garbage most of the time. TikTok's a lot of that on the FYP page, but when I go through the people that I actually follow, I have fun on TikTok. And lastly, TikTok is a place for people to find a community, right? During COVID, I had nothing I could do. I couldn't leave. I could barely even leave my house. Right? I couldn't go out to eat. I couldn't go do anything. I couldn't go out. Especially before the vaccines got out, right? When COVID was for sure, I kicked the bucket. I found TikTok. And that allowed me to communicate with people and see what other people were thinking and feeling. It gave me something to do. It gave me a sense of community. And I guarantee you, for other disabled people out there that were trapped at home, especially in the early parts of COVID, I guarantee you a lot of them that are on TikTok will tell you that TikTok was allowed them to live. It allowed us to communicate. It allowed us to live by watching, vicariously through other people who were able to go do things. So don't think it's just a bunch of stupid videos, because sure, there are a lot of stupid videos. But for some people, it's their access to the outside. You don't have to do anything special to get on it. You just make an account and boom, you scroll. You don't have to go through different venues to get to the videos and stuff. And I can't tell you how many times during the lockdowns and stuff where I just sat there and would scroll endlessly so I could lose myself from the facts of what was going on outside for a little while. But it's not about your national security. It's not about your data. This is all about the government control. This is all about the government wanting to control you. So I suggest, if you support the First Amendment, if you support the fact that people are able to send information from one side of the country to the other in real time on just a simple little phone app, and you think this is a good one of those good things, I suggest you call your representatives, senators, congressmen, if you live in a state that you think they can be swayed. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, TikTok has some issues that we could work on, right? But the arguments I see from the Republicans in the House don't make sense. Because one of them was talking about how it directed people to unaliving themselves videos. Now, I've been on TikTok now for 3 years. right? Maybe 4, I guess 3 years, 4 years, like that. I can't remember exactly, but I haven't once come across a video like that suggesting that people do that or glorifying it. Not one time. Like literally not one time. In fact, the one time that I even mentioned unaliving, when I was talking about the unaliving rate for trans people on a video, that video was removed within an hour. They're doing a better job of that, of covering that kind of stuff than they do here on YouTube. So yeah, maybe there are a few videos that get through. Same thing happens here on YouTube until it's found, and then they delete it. You can't expect them to find the videos right away. And I'm not going to blame an app for what other people decide to do to themselves. You have to make your own choice in life, right? Sometimes. I mean, I've seen TV shows that may have talked about the subject. You don't see them banned on CBS. But the fact is, they're not a national security threat. They do a good job of, you know, getting videos off their platform that get uploaded that shouldn't be there. But like everything, it could be improved, I'm sure. But there's no reason to ban it. You can't ban everything just because you don't like it or because you think somebody might learn something they shouldn't. So that's where I stand on that. I don't believe it should be banned. I believe it should be fine. We should be able to use TikTok if we want to. The government shouldn't get to decide what we can and what we can't look at on the internet. If it's not something that's harming other people, that you're not using to harm other people, which there again, TikTok's guidelines block you from bullying and all that kind of stuff, people on TikTok. At least once it gets reported or they find it, right? So what's the big deal about it, right? And I don't understand. I can't really tell you. I don't understand what else they would want to be blocking it for. I mean, what are they going to do? Manipulate our elections? Wait, Russia already did that. Now, anyways, thank you for watching. I know this has been a rather boring video. Uh, Hopefully, I'll be a little more perky in the next one or have better topics. We will see. Have a great day. See you down the road.